Hi, I'm Carla with Financial Literacy First, and we've got Penny, our wonderful mascot. And today I'm here with Rich Cain, and Rich is one of our volunteer teachers, so he's kind of giving a testimonial for us, okay? So I'm going to ask Rich a few questions about his experience with us and have him share. Are you okay with that, Rich?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, well, first of all, tell us a little bit about what do you do for a living?
So I'm a realtor with Keller Williams in Highlands Ranch. I've been involved in real estate for about 10 years, and I sort of came to real estate backwards. I started with investing in real estate before I became a realtor. And so my road down financial literacy type of life was when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that really put me on the road to understanding how money really works and frustration at why we don't teach our children that in school. If I'd have known this in my 20s, I can only imagine how much further along I'd be and where I want to go. So,
Well, great. Well, Rich Dad Poor Dad definitely changed the lives of a lot of people. Financial literacy, our foundation is the Dave Ramsey book, as you well know. What I want to find out from you is kind of like what kind of got you interested in volunteering to teach with our organization.
honestly, it's the just helping people. I spent a lot of time educating clients about their money because as a realtor or someone who wants to invest in real estate even, you have to understand a balance sheet and net worth and a budget at a bare minimum. And you don't get taught any of those things in high school in America, in most cases. I went to public high school, so maybe in some private schools you get that, but I think for the most part, they don't teach our children about these things. A lot of that is sort of a mindset shift from most middle class Americans look at things as, I can't afford that, instead of realizing that their finances are a balance sheet, and if they look at creating an asset, it's more like, what do I need to do so I can afford what I want? And that just shifts you to making goals with your finances instead of taking what life gives you and going from this job to that job because it pays more or whatever. It sort of gives you a roadmap so that you can end up where you want to be instead of just taking life as it comes.
I love that. I love that. It's a mind change. Absolutely. Absolutely. What has been the hopefully reward, what's been the greatest reward of teaching the youth about finances? What has been your, I guess as like people like to say, what was the sweet spot or whatever?
Right.
What's your little nugget?
It's just how excited they get about it. You'd think that they would be less engaged. Kids today are inundated with information, right? So it's more about teaching kids to think because they don't need information. And our current school system really still hasn't changed in 100 years. Teacher stands at the front of the class and gives people information. But you need to engage students because they can look up anything you tell them on their phone. I mean, not at a young age, but by the time they're 10 or 12, most kids have a cell phone. And they have access to the internet, and they just look up. So information is not their deficit. Thinking and logic are their deficit. And so with financial literacy, you really get to engage with the students about something they get excited about because who doesn't love money? And as a kid, if you grow up like I did, and so when you wanted the high top Jordans and mom said we can't afford those, if you had been educated about money, you can actually then pass this on to your parents, or I could have passed it on to my parents and say, well, what do I need to do so I can afford those, right? So maybe I take my allowance and can I open a bank account, or do I put it into piggy? However, but you start changing that mindset at an earlier age, and so then it's not such a struggle because the more ingrained our behaviors become as adults, the harder it is to change. And I can tell you, I still struggle in making that shift a lot of times because it's just become a habit of, oh, well, I love Starbucks, let's just go spend $10 this morning. And that's a car payment.
He has the Vente, right? Because I don't spend that much at Starbucks.
And it's not. My parents were good parents. They only teach you what they know, right? And so that's why it's important to get this knowledge in the hands of kids younger, because they're only going to learn what their parents know if they don't get it taught in schools. And so to make a change and try and help close the wealth gap where the middle class can have what we call generational wealth, where wealth can be created and passed down, then it's just going to get worse. So that's really, I guess, one of my biggest motivations is I really don't want us to see the middle class become the poorest and largest group of our society, and that's where we're headed.
I would agree. All right, well, one final question for you. If you were to give a young person, 17, 25-year-old, because what we want to do is really create a change in the entire household. And that includes educating the parents when we're teaching the children and all like that, so that's great. But if you were like giving one of our basic class is budgeting, savings, and understanding credit. This is for the 17, 25-year-old. So let's say you're giving that class. Let's say you're ending that class. You've gone through everything and they get everything and they've got the apps and they figured things out for themselves. What would be the one thing you would want to tell those kids leaving the classroom after going through one of our classes? What would be that those special words that you would want them to resonate, later on, afterwards? Like, what would you say?
I think it's important that they're able to reward themselves, because you need the positive reinforcement. Otherwise, those goals, if they don't ever meet any goals financially, they'll feel defeated and they'll just fall into the habits that they had before we taught them there's another way. And so it's important to now you can't have set a reward that when you make $500 you're going to go spend half of it on Air Jordans. That's not good. Right? So it has to be sort of commensurate with the goal, right? You want it to be a reward, but you don't want it to set you back. But it's important that they are rewarded as they move and reach their goals, because otherwise they will slide back, I think. I think what I would tell someone who's just completed the class, who really gets it and is excited to go try this and implement it, is that it's okay to fail.
I like that. It's okay to fail.
We all slip, we all fall, we all have unexpected maybe expenses come up or whatever. So maybe they're a teenager with a job and a car, and they've saved up and they've made the car, they've made the money to get the car, and they're paying the insurance all on their own, and it's a really exciting time for their life. And then the transmission of the car goes out, and they don't have the savings to fix that car.
Yeah.
Right? So it can be sort of sad and defeating, but it shouldn't be the end. I mean, don't let the pebbles stop you, right? We all sort of get tripped up when life doesn't go as planned. Well, let me give you some wisdom. Life never goes as planned.
Imagine that.
Every day there will be something in my day that doesn't go as I wanted it to go, and you can't let it derail you from what you want. And if you do, you're just going to stay where you're at. And so that's really the biggest.
So you would be saying to young people these days, one, it's okay to fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
And two, just because you've got a pebble, don't let it stop you.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to pick yourself up and keep going. Keep your eye on the prize. If it's something you truly want, then it's worth working for. And I think in our society of instant gratification and all of that, that's really something that has been lost. It's not their fault. It's the nature of growing up in this society with all this technology, right? Everything's at your fingertips like that, right? So, but great things take time. So Jim Rohn had said, do you want to go to the beach or do you want to own the beach? Owning the beach takes discipline and time. And if you spend money going to the beach, you're never going to own the beach.
Very true.
So
very true. Well, thank you so much, Rich, for sharing these wonderful words with us and for donating so many valuable hours of your time to teach Financial Literacy First. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you next time.